Okay, what I wanted to talk about right now is how I get started on doing my picture box. And people do it many different ways. Um, I'm the kind of designer that generally I start out knowing what the design is. I take my flower show handbook, I look up my design and make sure that I'm getting the right design in my mind. What I'm going to be doing in this one today is the theme was the force is with us all, and it's a spatial thrust design, which actually I've never done before. So I had to do some reading up and looking and consulting with my other flower buds, which is what I always do in order to kind of nail down what it is I'm going to do. So the first thing I do is I think about, okay, the design, how it's going to fit in the box. I think about, okay, what am I going to do? What is the theme in my head? And for me, it was something Star Wars-ish, something that was silver, metallic, sort of metals, something mechanical. So that's what I started to do, is I started thinking of pieces that I could collect that were sort of showing that kind of mechanics. The second thing that I started to do is now, and it's always the first thing and the second thing, is to figure out what is my container. Now, many designers do their flowers and their design first and find a container. I generally do my setup and my mechanics first with the flowers in mind, and then fit my flowers in, or pick the flowers that I think are going to then focus and really show off that theme and the design that we're supposed to be doing. So for this one, I'm just going to show you a little bit about what I went through. Okay, my first no, don't, please don't come back there. My first thought was to get a metallic container. So I put this one in here, and I hemmed and I hawed, and I put some pieces with it, which I have over here. But it seemed a little bit low, and I just thought it just seemed a little bit low to balance the two poles that I'm going to put into it. Let me show you what those are. I found 2 drill bits at like a pawn shop, and they gave me at a really, really good price. And so I thought, oh, that would make some awesome looking spiral, industrial kinds of looking things. But for some reason, when I got it in this one, I thought, no, it just didn't quite have the right proportion. Can't exactly say why. Then actually, this is the one I started with first, which I like because it has sort of a stone look, moon, that kind of thing. But I thought that it was too big. It just seemed too big. It started taking over, and I really want my design to show. That's when I went to this one, the metallic, and I thought, no, it's too flat. Can't say why I think that. It's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. So then I went to this size, and I was like, oh, I like that size because it gives sort of a nice proportion, but I wasn't wild about the color. I thought about spraying it. But then it came to mind something that I had forgotten, and I'll show you what that is. Very, very important to design in the location and the height and the space that it's going to be showing. And this is for a show. Well, actually for a table as well, if it's not in a show and you're going to do designs. All right, the picture boxes are 36 inches off the ground. This is 30 inches off the ground. So I'm like, okay, your vase is going to look totally different to a person when it's 30 inches. It looks much smaller because you're looking at the top. So what I'm going to do, another reject, too tall. I'm going to take, and I'm going to lift my entire picture box up, put this under it. Okay, got to balance that out a little so we don't end up on the ground. Oh, it balanced perfectly before. A little bit more. Oh, what's the problem? There we go. Okay. Now, when you look at now I've got 36 inches off the ground. So this is where people are going to be viewing. The height of the arrangement is going to be at this height now, which is going to make a big difference on your container. So now when I put this one in, it's like super huge because all you do is see container. Again, this one was, I don't know why, it just seemed a little flat to me, and it didn't afford this metallic-y look. However, what I finally found was what I think is just right. I found a little bit smaller container. It's silver. It has some metallic-y stuff on it. And, okay, now I'm thinking, ooh, this is starting to look just right. See, like the Goldilocks. Because now the vase is there, the container is there. You don't see it. In the picture boxes, you rarely see your vase. It is not super important from my perspective, but it's important that it not show up more than your design and your flowers. So you kind of want to keep it subtle, but you want it still to blend in. Frequently, I use something black you never even see the container, such as this. On this one, everything underneath is painted black, so you don't see it. The bar that's supporting all of this is black, so you don't see it. So it just sort of looks like it's floating. In this arrangement, because of the kind of arrangement it is in this spatial thrust, it seems like I needed something a little bit bulkier at the bottom to balance out the proportion of these pieces coming out. All right. The whole idea with this spatial thrust is create a space with, I believe it's 2 parallel lines that have a distinctive space within them. And they can be, I believe, shorter and longer. And it's said that material can only come up a little distance on the thrusting part, but the focus is on the pieces that are coming out, the components that are coming out. So, as you can see, I found this piece of gosh only knows what at a thrift store. It's for some sort of a saw, I believe. And so I cut the ends off to give it a little bit of interest, to have it look a little bit mechanical, futuristic. And so here we go. I was able to get this one in, but right now it's a little bit short unless this one is longer. So I'm going to have to do some adjustments on that, but we'll get back to that.